ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Welcome to the state of the channel for 2022. Here in this video, or stream, as I'm streaming it live on Twitch, we're going to talk about what's going to happen for me here this year on Twitch, YouTube. We're going to go over some stats and kind of just give you my overall thoughts about what's coming up. I'm going to change the music here real quick before we get started. But yeah, I think we'll kind of start with Twitch and then go into YouTube, because Twitch is kind of my primary thing. And it's always fun to kind of look over the stats from the previous year a little bit and talk about everything that I streamed and all that fun stuff. So the first stat you guys will find interesting is that I streamed 947 hours. That is actually down 12.1%, because the previous year was actually the COVID year. And that was the year that everybody was furloughed, and I got furloughed for, what, 3 months or 4 months? And so I did, like, afternoon streams for, like, 3 months, and so that was the 12% increase from the previous year. Had 11,000 hours watched from all of you. If we jump into the games, which is always my favorite part, I streamed a total of 58 games. And funny enough, the top 2 games are only separated by a couple of hours, and they happen to be the games that I've been streaming here recently as well. So the number 1 game that I streamed last year was Darkest Dungeon at 109 hours. And then a close second was New World at 105. So after that, we have Solasta at 63 hours. Just Chatting at 55 hours. And I'm trying to think, like, because I wouldn't have done the E3 stuff under Just Chatting. I'm just really surprised that we did Just Chatting for 55 hours. That seems weird. Because number 5 is Special Events at 46 hours. So that would be like E3 and Summer Game Fest and like anything around that. Number 6 was Hades at 43 hours. That must have been like in January, February. Must have been when we were wrapping that game up. Because it's like, I streamed Hades for 43 hours this year? Sure doesn't seem like it. After that, we started getting into the Mass Effect Legendary. So Mass Effect 2 was at 39 hours. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up this sheet here. We can kind of go through it together. Guardians of the Galaxy at 31 hours. Age of Empires at 30 hours. We did a new run of Oxygen Not Included at 27 hours. We did a full run of Old School Freelancer at 26 hours. I got back into Rocket League, 26 hours. We were finishing up Ghost of Tsushima. Again, this must have been January, February, at 25 hours. Did some City Skylines at 22. We actually did 20 hours of Tales of Arise, and then I didn't touch that game again. Mass Effect 1 Legendary Edition at 19. We've got Kena Bridge of Spirits at 17. That was a full playthrough of that game. Miles Morales is when I finally got my PS5 at 17 hours. We had that Tainted Grail game, which I kind of want to go back and check that game out. That was at 17 hours. The brand new game, 12 Minutes, which showed up on my Game of the Year list. That was a 12-hour experience. Did 12 hours of Path of Exile. I believe that was also in the spring. 12 hours of Outriders, because that game came out last year. 11 hours of Forza Horizon 5. We decided to jump back into the big update for No Man's Sky, so did 11 hours of that. A little bit of Microsoft Flight Sim at 9 hours. We got the early access to Darkest Dungeon 2 at 9 hours. Streamed 8 hours of that Before We Leave game, which is a nice little indie city builder style game. 8 hours of Riftbreaker. That's a game that kind of like puzzles me a little bit. I feel like it's a game that when I'm sitting there playing it, I'm having a pretty good time, but I almost have to force myself to play it, which is really, really weird. At some point, 7 hours of Hearthstone. I think earlier this year, I got into Hearthstone like really, really big. Or I guess I should say re-got into it. People have been telling me forever that Grim Dawn was really good and that I had to try it, so I tried it for 6 hours. And honestly, I couldn't get into it. The new release of Evil Genius 2, 6 hours of that. My number 2 game of the year, Artful Escape. That was a 5-hour playthrough on that. 5 hours of talk shows and podcasts. I have no idea what this was. Did I do a podcast or something earlier in the year? I don't know what that would be. We got that Chorus game. Streamed that for 5 hours. That game got completely interrupted by the move. Part of me wants to go back and actually finish it. I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Baldur's Gate 3 early access for 5 hours. This was probably also Mass Effect 1. I think I was streaming Mass Effect 1 onto 2 directories. Tribes of Midgard. Another one that came out this year. That's kind of fun. I would like to go back to it at some point, especially given all the updates that they did. The classic Banished. Streamed that for 4 hours at some point. Astro's Playroom for 3 hours when I got my PS5. We did the Riders Republic beta, so 3 hours of that. Halo Infinite multiplayer for 3 hours. Slipways is a little indie game that came out. Just trying to support the developer. Actually, I played way more of that off stream than I did on stream. This is like, Slipways is one of those games that it like looks really good, sounds really good, but the gameplay is just not quite there. Base 1 is another one. I actually reached out to the developers on Base 1. They gave me early access to it, so I think the 2 hours of this I streamed was part of their early access, and it was real buggy. Speaking of 2 Point Hospital being free on Twitch, we did 2 hours of 2 Point Hospital. We did the Lost Ark beta, but I only had time for an hour. I think there was something going on that weekend. I definitely want to see some more of Lost Ark. That's coming out here in just a couple months. Knockout City, which is that dodgeball game. I think this was also beta for 1 hour, as was Battlefield 2042, beta for 1 hour. Guardian Heroes HD for an hour. What is Guardian Heroes? I have no memory of that. Hiding Behind Me, Wilder Myth for an hour. A game that has incredible reviews, and I couldn't get into it. Hiding is Loop Hero. Again, Loop Hero is another game that I streamed, or that I played more offline than I actually streamed. That game is getting a lot of Game of the Year contention. Finally, at this point, we're kind of getting into the games that I played during my 1 hour, or sorry, 10 hours, 10 games. So we did 1 hour of Anti-Hero. We did an hour of Republic Commando. Chivalry 2 was beta. World of Warships was part of the 10 hours, 10 games. Dauntless, same thing. Less than an hour of Apex, and then Monster Train was also 10 hours, 10 games. So there you go. That's the 58 games that I streamed this last year. As far as like the channel is concerned, the 5 games that have actually done the best for the channel were Mass Effect 1, Darkest Dungeon, No Man's Sky, New World, and Flight Sim. Now, if I go to total watch time, because that was followers gained, but then if I look at total watch time, New World is actually the best thing on the channel. New World, Darkest Dungeon, then the events like E3 and that sort of stuff, Solasta, and Just Chatting. So those are from a you guys sitting in the channel watching stuff. Those are the top 5. Very interesting. Very interesting. We had some discussion the other night about how the trend on Twitch right now is just talking and reacting to stuff. And even on my channel, 2 out of the top 5 categories are technically those exact kind of deals. You know, the E3s and the Just Chattings and that sort of stuff. So very, very cool. So let's go ahead and talk about what are my plans for Twitch this year. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that essentially since COVID, so the last 2 years, the Twitch channel has not grown. In fact, it's gone the opposite direction. So I need to figure out how to grow the channel. And streaming the big new releases will not grow the channel. This is something that I've known, but I just did it anyway. So my goal for this year is to essentially play and stream games that will encourage that growth. So it'll be a lot of experimenting. And we might get to a point where I just say, you know, whatever. But it's something I want to at least try. Schedule should pretty much be the same. I know last year I moved around some times and was experimenting a little bit. But I think the night streams being at 8 p.m. Central and the weekend streams being at 1 o'clock p.m. Central are probably what I'm gonna do moving forward. That being said, I do have a secondary idea that may happen, and that is simply make it one time for everybody to remember, and that essentially being that all streams happen at 8 p.m. Central. So that means on the weekends, I would not do like the long day streams. I would only do the night streams. So that is something that I am considering. The other thing is I might need time to actually play the new releases myself. And then on a personal level, I actually want to go to the gym more and do that sort of thing. So I'm potentially considering dropping Tuesdays, Thursdays. So we'll see if that happens. I don't know. But if it does, then basically Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday would be the stream days, and I would essentially have 2 days off. But I'm going to have to go into like the Twitch directories and kind of figure out what games I want to play versus whether or not I think they would grow the channel and that sort of stuff. And I do think that I feel like you guys are kind of an MMO audience. Obviously, you know that I came from SWTOR, and when I decided to leave SWTOR, a lot of people were very unhappy about it and just never came back. But it seems like whenever I stream MMOs, they always do very well on the channel. And somebody earlier was asking me, should I just do one game? And that's not something I want to do. If anything, I would do a genre. So like, okay, I only stream MMOs. So that is something that I would consider moving forward. You know, it could be World of Warcraft and New World and SWTOR and like rotate those 3. But then again, you have stuff like Lost Ark coming up. which would technically go against rule number 1 of playing a new release, but would still qualify for rule number 2 of it's an MMO, so I could stream it. So it's kind of one of them weird things. I don't think I would get any new followers, though, and that's kind of the thing, though. So, like, one example would be a lot of people like watching streamers play, like, really, really hard games. So one thing that I might experiment with over the next couple months is, like, Cuphead, as an example. Cuphead is a game that I love. I never beat it. I think it's fun to watch. You guys tell me. So it's like, all right, let's beat Cuphead. I'm going to play that game till I beat it. And there's lots of games that are kind of along that line. Again, Dead Cells is another one. Dead Cells also has Twitch integration. Could do Hollow Knight. But there's all kinds of games that are kind of like that are just very hard to, you know, beat. And it can be fun to watch the streamer, you know, get through that madness. So that's the kind of thing that I'm thinking about that I think could actually grow the channel. Let's see, what else for Twitch? I think that pretty much covers it for Twitch. Yeah, like I said, the schedule is going to be pretty much the same. Try to grow the channel. Probably not going to stream as many big releases. But it's one of those things where you just got to kind of watch the directories and see how fast they fall off and that sort of thing. So let's move over to YouTube here briefly. YouTube, I'm also going to kind of put YouTube under 2 different categories. You got the stuff that I'm doing now, which I'm going to continue, and then the stuff that I would like to do. So for the foreseeable future, basically like the next couple months, YouTube is going to consist of basically 2 different things. One, I want to continue doing that First Look series because I really enjoy that, and I think it actually helps out indie developers in particular when you've got the smaller games and then you can do videos on them and just get them out on YouTube. So hopefully a lot of First Look videos coming up. So that's kind of priority 1. And then number 2 is essentially the events and React stuff. So again, mentioned earlier, like the E3 stuff and Summer Game Fest and all of that going from Twitch on over to YouTube. And then anytime there's like a big, you know, trailer or something like that, that'll go to YouTube as well. So that's kind of the 2 big things. And then the stuff that I want to do is I would love to do a weekly news show of some description. Maybe that is something that's done on Twitch and ported over. Maybe it's just done for YouTube. I'm not sure yet. I'm not even sure what kind of format I would want to do that in. But I've had the idea to do a daily news show for a long time. And it's just a matter of, or not a daily, a weekly news show. But it's just all about like trying to find the right format and how long should it be and the topics and all that fun stuff. The sort of 4th thing for YouTube, or the second under the new category, is I would love to do industry topic videos. And again, maybe that's a thing that I stream on Twitch and then just port it over. Maybe it's original content. I don't know. But if something like big comes up in the gaming industry, it's like, all right, let's sit down and just do a video talking about it. Which kind of also goes under news a little bit, but it'd be its own separate thing. So those are kind of the 4 main things for YouTube. But I have a question for everybody. And so this includes Twitch chat and YouTube comments. I've had several people ask if I could port the Twitch stuff over to YouTube. So if I were to do that, it would be essentially in a completely unedited format. But it would be broken up by game. So I need to know who would be interested in me doing that. Because right now on Twitch, the VODs... And actually, I'm just going to look here real quick. I know that if you are not a partner, I think by default it's your VODs are there for 2 weeks. But I have Turbo, and so I think it's a little bit longer than that, but I want to verify. So if I go to here and I go to recent broadcast, let's go to videos. Let's go to past broadcast. I just want to see how far back. Okay, so apparently my VODs go back 2 months. So that being said, I want to know who is interested in just porting it all over to YouTube. So let me know in Twitch chat. Let me know down below this video. And if we get enough response, I will go ahead and do it. If not, we'll just keep it all on Twitch. Then, of course, the other possibility is just to create a separate YouTube channel for all the VOD dumps. I don't like that idea personally. I think it's better to keep everything on one. But when you're trying to do like VOD drops and original content, it can be like crazy mixed together. So yeah, let me know on that. But yeah, big thing on YouTube is the What Is series, which is the first look series, the event coverage, and then maybe at some point down the road doing some kind of news deal and or industry topic deal. And somebody in chat just said, sounds like a podcast. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't do a show at all anymore. And, you know, when you think back to kind of how I started, you know, we had the tour report. We had I think it was called the WildStar News Network. So I used to do all kinds of shows and stuff. And, yeah, I haven't done, like, a show in a long time. You could maybe consider Saturday Morning SOTOR to be a show. But again, I haven't done that in 3 years, at least. 3-4 years. It's been a while. But yeah, big thanks to everybody who viewed my content on, if you're here for Twitch, if you're on YouTube. You know, can't do this without you guys. And as some of you know, I just recently moved, bought my first house, and it's been very mentally taxing on me. And you guys have helped me get through that. Like even today, I'm still getting like these little anxiety spikes, and it's so annoying because I've never had to deal with anything like that before. So it's good for me just to get on and sit here and talk with you guys, and even talk about, you know, the experience and all that fun stuff. But yeah, here's looking towards a really good 2022, and yeah, definitely thank you guys. So yeah, here real quick on Twitch, try and do a little bit of a Q&A here for the video. Just reading through the comments on Twitch here real quick. So Rotting Gamer is talking about covering a game that is about to come out, like Diablo 4, Lost Ark, or Ashes of Creation. I've actually done some Ashes of Creation videos. Problem with that game is that game could be 3 years out now. It's really hard to say. But again, that's kind of committing myself to one game, which is something that I don't want to do. Yeah, Matt Caruso said splitting VODs to a new YouTube channel would be good for the algorithm, but bad for branding. And that's another one of those things. You guys know that I keep tabs on a lot of content creators, and I've seen a lot of them experiment with different things. And the one thing that I've noticed, and of course I've done experimenting as well, because So like back in the day, I used to only have one channel. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to put my SWTOR stuff on a different channel. And I did that split, and that did not work. But yeah, what I've noticed is generally YouTube channels need to be like topic-based. So if you are a gamer, you need to have one channel and only one channel about whatever you're doing in video games. The second you try and split that up, you are like it's almost like you're splitting your audience. And trying to get people to go to both channels and watch all content, it's a struggle. And I've seen a lot of people struggle with it. So it's like, again, if you have a gamer and you have one channel, let's say you do cooking shows or something. Okay, that could actually be another YouTube channel then, because then you're splitting things up. But, you know, I know one content creator who even does... He does gaming stuff, he does movie stuff, he does cooking stuff, and again, it's better to have like all of your content on one channel. Oh, so I've seen that as well. Just have everything in one place. It's easier to find, it's easier to remember. You just, you know, all that fun stuff. So, any other final questions in chat for the video recording? But yeah, this year we've got a lot of absolutely incredible games coming out. It was kind of like 2021 was the year of the indie/AA, and 2022 is going to be the year of the AAAs. It's going to be pretty bonkers. Well, for those who are watching on YouTube, I think we'll wrap up the video right there. So once again, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys have a good day, and we'll see you next time.